This meeting to order. First regular agenda item is approval or disapproval of the minutes of the September 8th, 2020 regular meeting. I think you've been provided previously with a copy of those minutes. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Me and you. Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 8th, 2020 regular meeting. Roll call vote, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes, that is approved. The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of the financial reports as of November 2020. You also have a copy of those provided to you. Are there any questions in reference to, because we have a great guru here?
No, but if there were any questions, because we're at the end of the year, I think it's done. The only thing I might tell you, and it has to do with the incubator down there, is remember we agreed to have them paying $12.50. And so we're gonna write off $37.50, and Alan Poe told me, he said, I probably messed up the last month, because he wasn't aware. He said, I guess I didn't see where it went through October, and so he told them not to worry about it. So I thought I'd better tell you that before I sent the letter. So we'd be writing off another $12.50.
So what, the $37.50, tell me again what that's for?
It's because they were paying $2,500, and we agreed to them
Okay,
paying
I
$12.50, and they'd
Right.
already been billed that, so I need to write that off.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
But
On
they
the
owe-
books it still shows it.
Yeah, it still shows. So really, they owe $12.50 for October, and, I mean, they haven't been in there for a while, and they kept paying their rent to honor their lease.
I think we still need to send them a letter
Okay,
and just see what their response is to that.
I'll have them do it.
I mean, that's contractually what we did. I think that's our obligation to, we've already given them some relief, and of course, they're helping us out, obviously.
Yeah.
To see what their response is.
I just kind of wanted to know that before we went over to see Kim and what we were going to do.
And you could even tell them, we understand that someone may have told you this, but we're still under the agreement, so.
He will send that out.
Okay, that having been said, are there any questions about the financial that you have in front of you? I'd entertain a motion then.
Motion to approve the financials. Second.
Got a motion set for financial reports as of November 2020. Roll call vote, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes. Are there any outstanding bills that we need to pay?
the only one that I know that's coming up is we had the door repaired out here by CDC.
No, the West Industrial Park, where Corey Blackstitch is.
Yeah. But out there. So
One of
anyway,
those corrections?
Out by
Yeah.
CEC.
actually it's out this way.
CED8.
They had
Can you
over-
see me smile?
Yeah, I can't. They called and they had an overhead door that wasn't working, something was wrong with it, so Sean Barr went out there and fixed it. So we'll be getting that bill.
But we don't have it yet.
We haven't gotten
Okay,
anything
so I don't
yet.
think we can vote on it.
The only
So
thing you have is your pledge transfer, and that was in your financials.
We've already done that by virtue of approving financials, right?
You did
Okay, how much is the transfer?
19,000 something, I think. Oh, I had that.
go ahead and we take a consideration on that. Do we have a motion to approve the transfer of $29,590?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Everybody understand, do they understand the plus transfer, that it comes into the industrial authority because you guys are the parent company, and then it passes through to the committee? Okay.
It's just part of the process that we have. That's how we get it, that money delivered to them, so. Got a motion and a second to make the transfer to the committee, $29,590. Roll call vote, please.
Stan,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes, sir. Next is update discussion on Winoka Incubator.
Got it. You haven't told me. Sorry.
Okay, anything else we need to know?
they did winterize it, or went in and winterized. Tim Christick called and said it wasn't, so got a hold of Poe. Poe said he'd take care of it, so he assured me in the most uncertain terms that it was taken care of. So,
Okay. Are there any prospects at all out there?
not at this time. That I
Is there
know.
anything going on down in that area?
There isn't. Well, they're getting a Dollar Tree or Dollar General or something.
In
And,
Wynoke?
huh?
In Wynoke.
Yeah. And there's also another guy looking to do something, but I can't remember what it was, and it wouldn't affect.
More on retail though?
Yeah, it's all retail.
Pretty slow,
Yeah.
pretty slow. Wasn't for Connor, we wouldn't have none.
Well, not everybody's as sharp as he is, you know. Let's take advantage of the Christmas season.
Yeah.
What about the airport project?
Airport project, is that just, it's on you, Tony. Is that just
You're, at
the
one
one
time,
that's rented out?
no, that's,
Or
we were
that-
talking about what we were gonna do.
Okay. On that one, at this time, we're kind of in a stall because we lost the person that was gonna operate that. So we're looking at different options. I've been on some Zoom meetings where these big companies in the city were building the big drones that can deliver missiles and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And on that meeting, they said they wish they had a airport that was designated just for them. So I did let them know that our county had 2 vacant ones, and plus our airport. So nothing's come of it yet, but hopefully at some point they'll say, you know what, that wouldn't be a bad deal, but the distance would be.
Well, they ship munitions up here.
Yeah. I don't know where they'd be bombing, but, you know, they could practice. The other thing that I was gonna look at, talking to one of the airport board members, is what would be the chances of getting a small, what do they call them, your small, flights that you can rent a plane, and they'll fly you to different locations.
Plane taxi.
Yeah, something like that.
Charter plane?
Have a
So-
charter.
Anyway, we're gonna see if I can find a small company that has any interest in, or a large company, but, stationing the plane and maybe a pilot here for meter type flights. And on the incubator part, we're still gonna try and find some way of using aviation and an incubator in some form. So, that's all I've got on that.
You guys have any questions? Tanya, anything you want to interject while you're here?
You know, I think the city was, did they get that surveyed?
No, but they're still,
But they're gonna.
Angelica
Okay.
actually said that she would look into it, so we've got them looking into it.
Maybe our city attorney official,
We'll
Or a
prove whatever
council
they bring
member.
in front of us, yeah.
council member, right here. Former mayor.
Well, you might need to just follow up with Angelica, just
Yeah.
because, you know, when she came in, there
She
was
was
so
a mess,
much,
yes, I know.
so many
I-
things on her plate she's been trying to address, and some of those.
That's
work
why
for
I
her.
haven't pushed that real hard, because I know what she's been dealing with. We've set up a monthly deal where her and I and Jody meet and discuss all the things going on in the city. We also have included Winoka and Freedom, where we'll meet with them once a month. And then that way we can have activities of the whole county, you know, in one setting. And then she could help them if they have any questions, or Jody, you know, and Jody's already filmed some stuff on the dunes and, you know, so there's a lot of cooperation right now going on between all the groups, so.
Okay. Well, it doesn't have anything to do with their project,
No,
airport project per se, but I see where Wayne Kinsey passed away.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that contributed greatly. And I don't know if you read his obituary or not, but he did even more than I knew about, actually. But, quite a guy.
he was extremely valuable to Alva in all aspects.
Okay, nothing else, then that's what we need to know about value-added products, note extension.
Okay, they're gonna commence payments in January. Call Jeff, and they will start repaying again. And talking to them, they've got a contract, which is a pretty good sized contract for 3 years with the company. And they've got 2 other companies this month that they're gonna be talking to. And so it looks like things are gonna pick up considerably there. I know he said right now they're looking at hiring another 21 people.
Right. There you go, found your proof and have a job.
Do they not take down the Christmas stuff too?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't get paid for that. That's in the
Have
initial.
you ever seen how they do that? They get one end and do like that.
They're not supposed to. Well,
No, they do great.
I think it's a neat niche market, that's awesome.
Is there any new business? You guys bring anything with you? Anything you're aware of that we need to address it?
We're still working with the GO project. I guess I can move right into the executive
Yep,
report.
let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, the Avard Rail has hired a consultant, which is this group, and supposedly they're good with all sorts of grants and marketing and things like that. So they're gonna market the rail park. If, for example, we've been trying to get water out there. Supposedly they're gonna be able to help with that project. So we've got them on a 6-month contract, and with the intention of renewing it at 6 months and having them for at least a year. They've got quite a few people that, I mean, you guys probably heard of Mary Fallon. And she is on there as a consultant. So, I mean,
I wonder what Mary was doing.
yeah, well, she's doing several things apparently. But, anyway, I brought this so you can look at it if you'd like. I mean, everybody's got grand hopes that, you know, they'll be able to bring something.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the neatest guys on there is Cornell Wesley. He was affiliated with the EDA. So we've talked with him before. We met with him in Oklahoma City. And and it had to do with the water and the infrastructure stuff at Abard. But that was back when he was with EDA in Commerce. And we didn't fit because of our per capita income was too high, unemployment was too low. So he suggested us doing a survey of all of our rural water people. And so I worked with the rural water district, and they mailed out surveys to get actual data to be able to contribute to them. And we've gotten all that in, and now they're going to work with District 1 and try and get that as well, I believe. And I mean, he was thinking of unique ways to try and make us fit. And so I think he'll be very valuable. I really do.
I think it's great. So,
He has an inside track.
the other thing I've done is I've gone through and given a couple talks on infrastructure. So what I did was, you know, we've got to have infrastructure, the appropriate infrastructure if we're going to try and grow. So we went through and kind of did an assessment of what we've got in Woods County. And of course, one of the things that we really lack on is internet accessibility. And so I'm glad to announce that we got another company coming that's going to give us the bandwidth that we need, especially for the rural areas. We've got so many kids now doing stuff at home, off and on, but so we'll have accessibilities to some high-speed internet. That'll be true speeds. You know, a lot of people have, say they have 20 and 10 up or 10 down, and when you get right to it, you have about 3 and maybe 2. You know, so when he gets here, we've talked to a whole bunch of elevators in the area. They're going to let him set up equipment, and then it'll be through the airways, but it'll be a true 2010, so that you can Zoom and all that stuff from your internet.
Just
And-
bring us out of the 21st century. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've read and seen a lot of stuff on where the people from the cities are wanting out, and I can't remember how many thousands are moving out of California every day, but if we hope to capture any of that, we need to be set up to where they can work, you know, from home. So we're working pretty hard on getting that done.
Is there just, not pinpoint, is there a time frame that you would expect? That?
I'm thinking according to him, he's gonna be here starting to put up his equipment in the next couple of weeks. And he said it'd take, you know, 3 weeks to get some equipment set up so people in town could at least get it. Like at your office, if you wanted 100 and 100, he could get that for you, which is incredible for out here. But like Sonia and I, where we live, we're down in the valley, we can't get anything. I mean, we've got HughesNet, which is a Wi-Fi, and it's worthless. I mean, you might as well not have anything. So, well, I know when she got sent home, they had to work from home for I don't know how many weeks, but when it first came out, she had to get in her car, back it up into the drive so it was clear so she could work on the computer, because ours wouldn't do it. Well, he's got that figured out. And
Dedicated. Dedicated.
I couldn't figure out Came home, she's out in the car.
But we had to use that. Got rid of it. It's terrible.
It is terrible, isn't
And same thing for out there, you know, she worked really hard and got Canopla come so far. And, but they've got equipment that'll go through trees. I mean, it's the signal's powerful enough, it'll go straight through the trees. So you just gotta, when you engineer all this stuff, I've learned way more about this than I ever wanted to, but the signal is a football shape. So he says you gotta engineer it and do the physics on it, where your signals are. And he said if any part of that hits the ground or a tree, it distorts that signal. He said, so you have to engineer the wavelength going to each house to actually get it right. So supposedly they do that. And it's,
Guess we'll find out.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited.
Who's that?
and I know the day that we brought him in, we had a meeting with the city and the county and everybody was here. Greg Graham was here, which is our IT person, and they're already in Cherokee. So after listening and checking out the speeds that he actually had in Cherokee, because they could pull up, you know, somebody that Greg knew that had it, and he could check the actual speeds on the computer, which I have no idea how they do that, but they can. The speed was way better than what he's got. So he signed up for it right there that day. So, and these guys do not have a contract, you know, like a 2-year contract or whatever. It's month to month. So if you don't like our service, you can get off of it. And his theory is that if we don't keep our customers satisfied, we shouldn't be allowed to retain them. Another thing we learned is your big companies like Pioneer and these other companies that get these grants to go into rural areas. Well, if they bring the fiber in to town, that fulfills their obligation because they show that they've got 5,500 or 6,000 people covered in Alpha. Well, they don't have to hook up one single client. And that's why rural kind of been getting the shaft is because these companies bring it in, but they don't ever hook anybody up. So anyway, this guy, he said, we don't take those grants, you know, because then we're under their regulations and stuff, and he said, we don't want that. So anyway, there's one. That doesn't mean it's the answer to everything, but it's a start. So the other thing is we connected Plain Plastic and Premier Aero with Department of Commerce, and they have a program where they will help those companies with trade shows. You know, and now you can't even go to a trade show. Everything's virtual, so they'll host it and pay, you know, a lot of the expense. So whether they take advantage of it or not, you know, we'll see. I know Plain Plastic has in the past, but we did get them set up so, and then they have a deal on government contracts, whether it's Boeing, you know, or military or whatever. And these guys, if they have something they build that will fit, that they can do, well, they can submit bids and these guys will help them get all that set up so they can expand. Let's see, we worked with another group to buy an existing business. I don't think that's going to happen. I met with Sheriff in our meetings that we had. Freedom mentioned that Sheriff had contacted him at one time and talked about a clinic. And so when I met with them, they, oh yeah, I forgot. Well, they have the clinic open in Freedom now. So that was a good thing for one of our communities. GO project, our GROW project, we're still in the process of trying to find out how legit it is and whether it will work and all that, because, you know, we had to put in quite a bit of money there. Working with the college and the tech center on entrepreneur and robotics and drones, trying to come up with programs that maybe we could put together out here. I'm got a call into the film authority, and I'd like to get a hold of McDaniels, because if we could build a sound stage for movies around here, that's become extremely popular in Oklahoma, because we haven't shut down for COVID, and California's shut the film industry completely off, so they have several companies that are located here. Now, one company they were talking about on a Zoom meeting had 250 employees. Well, if we had half that in Alpha, I mean, it's not something that I would have thought of, you know, just off the top of my head, but still working on a packing plant. Peterson, is it our state rep? Senator? Okay, he had called me because he had heard we were working on it, and he said if we needed help, call him. He'd be glad to help, even though he doesn't represent us directly. So I thought that was good. Went around gathering information on all the vacant buildings that we had in town. I've got the addresses and stuff. Still need to load them onto Commerce's site. I went in to do that one day and couldn't find how we could get them in there. So, and that's probably on me. Let's see, working right now with the city on an REDI assessment, which is the first step that opens up some grants for us for infrastructure type stuff. We have another meeting tomorrow and hopefully finish up that assessment side of it. We'll be able to, like the city water wells, I know that's an issue. Well, that will open the doors for a grant for, you know, some of that stuff, or streets or whatever. Attained a list, and this is important to me because whenever you look at economic development, in my opinion, you look at what we have as far as minerals and assets that they can't up and move. So I look at what kind of minerals and things like that we would have in our county to cause a company to want to locate here. So I worked with Tom Lucas, and we started putting together a list of all the minerals and things that we have, like bentonite. I mean, a lot of people don't know that we have that. Well, there's a calcium, and then I say a salt type, but that's not the official name of it, but they can be used for two separate things. And of course, gypsum. And I didn't know this, Tom told me, that the Harris family doesn't own the gypsum mine anymore. That group out of Korea bought it. So they're not even using the medical grade stuff anymore for their use. So the arena project is still going. We've been working with USDA almost weekly, seems like, and it's getting close. We'll should know something one way or the other before long. At this time, I've got a company, and I had to sign a confidentiality, so I won't be able to give a lot of information on them, but they're out of country. They want to put a business here in town. It's ag related, and should employ approximately 20 people. So that's in the beginning stages. And as soon as we get very far on that, I'll probably have some more updates on it. And one of the things I'm wanting to bring to the committee today is to build a Woods County Economic Development website, which is this company, I mean, it's gonna be expensive, but it's not just a website with content and pictures. This one will have, the guys that build this are all economic development people. And so when they build a website, it's geared towards economic development. So, for example, it's out there and somebody gets on and looks at, let's say, the real park or the industrial park. After they do that and they search and look at what they want, I can go in as the economic development person and see what they looked at, what they were interested in, how many times, you know, they looked at different things with that. I can then contact them. So it gives me a tool to go out and be proactive versus sitting here waiting for referrals and things like that, which is something that we've needed, some way of knowing what's out there. And they set it up, for example, like Avar Rail, we can put the phase 1, the archaeological survey, all that information that we had to do on this industrial park in the city industrial park, we can put all that information in there. So if you're a site selector, you can go in there and look and you can say, oh, well, you know, they got all this done. I mean, all we have to do is go and build. We don't have to go through any of that, and which is a big deal. So all this information for economic development can be loaded into this website. If you have these people that are wanting to work from home and they live in New York and their family may still live out here, well, it can have all the information on there that will show that they can do it all from here. So it's not just an ordinary website, but, and I'm gonna see if I can get the funding to put that together. I think that's all that I've got at this time.
Sounds
Learned a lot.
good.
Well,
Usually it's all.
we did have Commerce. We brought Commerce to town, and they went and I don't know, there's 20-some companies that they help with the care package. And Connor got to be one of them. They visited 3 of them, Vapp, Connor, and the Jones Theater. So we had Commerce down here, and I thought that was a good thing. We got to highlight some of our young entrepreneurs. So other than that, I mean, we've been busy, but I think the website will be a huge asset if we can get it. And like I said, that's not something we're used to, especially me. But I think it's a way to contact site selectors and people like that looking for opportunities. You know, we've never been out there, so it may be a great tool for us. I mean, we've got buildings, you know, we can put on there that we have incubators and, you know, let people outside of Woods County know. I've checked them out. Tulsa uses them. Duncan, they listed Duncan. Well, I knew the economic development guy from there, so I called him. He said, well, it's not their website, but it's one similar to what they make. He said, but they did the 5 different promo videos that go on their website. And Enid is kind of the same thing. But those are the 2 local, and They had, I mean, I think right now they have clients in 29 states. They don't have an office, but their people that work on this stuff is from all over the United States, so. Anyway, we had a video conference with them, and so we'll see where we go from there. Any other questions that you have for me?
I don't really have a question, I have an observation. When you're talking about this internet thing, these websites, and I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, you're gonna learn a lesson out of a bad situation, is the ability for a lot of these industries to work at home or to have their people spread out and not located in a building.
Yeah.
I've got a daughter-in-law that works for Paycom down in Oklahoma City, and she has been home since the thing in March, I think. And they're not intending to bring them back.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually saying, okay, we're gonna have a certain group of employees that are gonna be there. So having the ability with the internet, I think that's obviously a great thing. Besides just locally, all the locals will get the benefit of that. This website thing, I think is absolutely imperative. We have a lot of things here, but we've tried within, you know, Oklahoma, whatever, our turkey hunt, bring people from outside, but that internet,
Yeah.
I mean, that website, I think is a great deal where people can get in there and take a look at that extensively. And then with your ability to get in and see, you know, when they're checking off kind of what is it they're really interested in,
Yeah.
to be able to emphasize that.
I think a tool like that is completely invaluable because we've never had that ability. I mean, and my skill set for economic development has always been networking. And that's going and visiting and saying, you know, hi, how you doing, what do you do, blah, 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 you know, making notes and connecting the dots. I have not been able to do that since I've been here. Well, so that's my top skill, and I haven't been able to use that. It's all gone to the virtual. This company if we paid for it, and I know it's expensive, but we have the ability, if we had it up right now, if somebody got on there and they saw we were putting in an event center, because we have the engineering and all that already done, the client could put on a headset, or, you know, and see that arena on that piece of ground. And then they could walk in the building and take a tour of the whole thing without it actually being built.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, that's incredible, because we could do the same thing at the rail park, at the industrial park. You know, if we knew what they wanted, they could set it up and they could take a virtual tour of it. They have the ability with this website that, say Connor lived in LA, he could get on that website and he would have contacted me and said, I want to meet at 11 o'clock. That website would put a table up. Connor would have a little emoji and I'd have a little emoji, and we could sit there and talk back and forth, just like we were in person. So when I say it's not a normal website, I mean, this is as high tech as you can get. And I think that's critical, because we could, like the company I'm dealing with overseas, if I call him, it's kind of hard to communicate whether he doesn't understand me or I don't understand him. I thought his English was pretty good, but he said
He like yours?
he must not have.
You're speaking open.
Yeah, I'm speaking open. He wasn't real sure, but I mean, so it made it hard to. So now we're basically sending emails back and forth, and the good thing is they need rail. I've already contacted the rail company, and you know, he can't believe that we're able to get stuff done that quick. I mean, I've already sent in for the state incentives, and this is something I didn't know, which probably not hard to believe, but if you're from overseas, there's another step for the incentives, which I didn't know. So maybe that's a really good deal for them. So communicating is completely different than what I'm used to. So I've got to get better and learn how to do all that efficiently. And I'm not even sure what the time difference is, but I called him probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon one time, and whether it was 3 o'clock in the morning there, I don't know, but he answered, and we had a conversation, but, so, I mean, the whole process of the way things used to be done has changed. So,
And I think the pandemic though has brought that to a head.
yeah,
I think we've been moving there, we just haven't moved very fast here, it's
Right.
not our nature, but,
because we hadn't had the meeting.
yeah, and now, not only do you have the need, but you have the opportunity,
Yeah.
that we haven't had in the past.
So I'm gonna keep working on internet stuff. I mean, honestly, as far as we're concerned, we don't care how many companies are here, as long as they have good service. You know, that would be for the public to decide, and I know, well, we just give them the opportunity, I guess, and hopefully we get some good service out of the deal. There was one that's built a tower on Randy, if you'll remember. But it seems like, from what I've heard, they're not gonna make it. They're not even gonna put power to them, so they have a tower that's useless, so I don't know if they can be bought or what from by another company. But anyway, that's how flighty that stuff is. I mean, there's no guarantee, even if they build a tower. So,
On your website, you know, I just learned about this because I've learned a lot today. He's been doing well because I've driven to the Lowe's and I've been busy myself. And on the website, when he was talking to me about it, one of the pitfalls in the past where we've tried to do a website, because the committee's tried to do one, and then we tried to do one in conjunction with Northwest Tech, and that didn't come to fruition. But the biggest deal was, I didn't have time, didn't have an assistant or anybody that could upload content. Because it was evolving and changing and stuff all the time. And the way I understand it, he just needs to give them the information and they take care of that, uploading all of that.
Well, the difference is though, having a company that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
'cause I don't have
specialize in that
expertise.
area.
yeah,
And that's just, it makes sense, and that's the reason they cost more, and
Yep.
you like to pay, but that's the difference between Rick Cunningham sitting down at my office trying to set up a website and hiring somebody to do it, that makes it look
You know,
very appealing.
We did that, hiring somebody to put up a website, and that's all great, but when we have to maintain it,
Yeah.
it's worthless, honestly.
well, and I had no concept, because the only thing I've seen is, you know, you pay a couple $100 for this template, and you have a website. Well, then they start shooting these prices, and I'm going, what? What? So, I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but just the maintenance fee is like $6,000 a year. But that's what gives me the ability to check what everybody's looking at, and if we want to build it further than that, there's some other tack-ons that you can have for the 3D and, you know, all those virtual tours and stuff, and so it gets extremely costly.
Yeah, but you know what, you need to bring in about one major business
Yeah.
to cover that expense,
Well, and that's what they
for multiple years.
come back and say.
Yeah.
They say, look, if you get X size company and it generates X number of sales tax, you've already paid for your website. And I agree with that, but the initial shock for just plain old country kid was pretty good. And I tried to Jew them down while we were on the Zoom. And apparently you can't do that. Because I said, what? You know, I said, we're used to paying this and you guys are
They said, and they probably said, what do you have?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where they went.
What do you have?
So it kind of killed my argument, but I really think it's critical nowadays for the county to have something like that. If we're serious. On another note, one of the things I was going to look at for entrepreneurs is if we got the committee here to buy, and I'm thinking, because I've seen this, little storage type buildings and put entrepreneurs in them. Because they're not gonna be able to afford, you know, a big shed like Connor's got. But they might be able to afford a little garden type shed to start with. And I'm just gonna give you my vision. I don't know if this would work, but like at Keltner's Trailer Park, you know, that front drive there, he's got all those hookups and no trailers on them. Well, if we set up little sheds with electricity and everything, you know, somebody that makes jewelry or saddles or, you know, whatever widgets, they'd have a little place to sell their wares. And maybe, you know, out of 10, 2 or 3 get you really going and move on. So looking down the road, maybe looking at, you know, us financing, you know, 3 or 4 at a time and fixing them up so somebody could rent them. I mean, and starting our own entrepreneurs and our own people into businesses. Connor started small. I know several people that started small and
One
now,
string of lights, wasn't it?
and now, you know, they got anywhere from 6 to 12 employees. I mean, that makes a huge difference if you get enough of those. So just giving people opportunities, I guess. So I'll be working on that as we go along, just to see where we can go and if we have people interested and stuff. So
You were talking about soundstage, just a thing in the film industry, and there's a lot of people there that are looking at Oklahoma or the Midwest.
yes,
Because of cost factor,
Yep.
nothing else. I saw a thing the other day, Patricia Heaton used to be on, and everybody
Yeah.
knows her. She did something and had I don't know what it was on, but she's in Oklahoma City, and they're down there doing some kind of a film, something. She was in the makeup thing, and she was just talking about being in Oklahoma City, and, you know, how congenial it was, and whatever movie or show they're working on. But just those kinds of things that you can do that you don't think about, that we haven't thought about in the past. So
well, I try to get on Commerce's Zoom meetings every week. And right now, I know we have a lot of automotive industry looking to come this way to Oklahoma. And they've been talking off and on about this stage, movie stage stuff. And I can't, seems like there were 7 or 8 places in Oklahoma now that have set those up. And the one in Oklahoma City, I guess, had 250 employees from a little company that moved from California out here. And I thought, well, I know we've done movies here. So, you know, if we built a little sound stage and researched those and how they build them, and it's not that complicated. I mean, a farmer's barn would work if, you know, they redid some stuff and it would be fine. But, I think we can do something like that. At this point, the state doesn't have any incentives for that, but they're working to get it. Because that's an industry that's wanting to move here. So, as we go along, maybe there's an opportunity we can get some money to do that. But if we're never ready, when something comes up, we miss out. And the same way with the internet and all our basic infrastructure. If we don't have it where it needs to be when an opportunity comes, we can miss out because it takes too long to get that infrastructure. So, the other thing, I was asked by the city and some of our business owners if I had any reports on retail for Alva. And I know at one time I had one done when I was at the chamber. Well,
We had one done by Commerce, 2 years ago.
2 years
For Winoka
ago.
and Alva.
well, so I just called one of the gals that was the same thing I was at Commerce is now with OG&E, and she has a computer that'll generate all that stuff, so I got one for those guys. And we haven't sat down and go over it yet, but, so, I mean, I'm extremely excited about the cooperation between the counties and the chambers and the cities and all the communities, because we're all willing to sit down and work together and not worry about, you know, infringing on somebody or knowing something, and, you know, so it's been really good. And I know I forgot some stuff, but
Well, you're getting older. Any questions from you guys?
Sounds like you've been busy.
Well, economic development is much that's behind the scenes that you don't see. It's those conversations you're talking about, the phone calls, all the things that happen. And then all of a sudden it kind of looks like it just happened, but it doesn't just
No.
happen. Well, gentlemen, ladies, if there's nothing else, we are at number 10, adjourned, and we will be adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho.
Okay, Christmas.
Okay. It was good to see you.
Let's get here.